Oh hey guys, how are you doing? So I thought I would create a bit of a guide about how to actually increase your damage and get the most out of your character in World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King, but this applies to really any version of the game, well at least the first 3 expansions. And I'm just going to look at a few things that you can do which will really help boost your damage up. Bit of an off the cuff video, so do forgive me. So I'm going to use my paladin as an example here. Okay, very handsome paladin, quite like this character. I'm also quite low level on this character. So first thing you guys are probably gonna want to do is download an extension called Taco Tips. Now Taco Tips gives you basically a number, right, which we can see here. I'm currently on this character 4,322. This is my gear score, and basically this is going to be useful for basically seeing your gear score and other players' gear score. And if you don't have Taco Tips installed or some other add-on, it's going to look a bit odd because most people have it. So I would definitely get that add-on. It won't directly increase your damage, but okay. One of the things you are definitely going to want to do is, as a rep pally, you're going to want to read about your character. So what I've been reading about my character, I have Seal of Corruption, which does stacking damage on the boss, and I also have Seal of Command, which amongst other things hits 2 targets at once. So to get maximum damage, I'm going to want to use Seal of Corruption on single targets, and I'm going to want to use Seal of Command on multiple targets. So here we go. I'm using my Seal of Command, and as you guys can see, I've got a stacking unholy damage on this single target here. That's really going to boost up your damage on bosses, for example. Okay, so first thing you guys are going to want to do is look up the stat priority of your character if you don't already know it. So look up your class, mention that it's Wrath of the Lich King, and just type in something like stat priority, and here we go. So this is the stat priority for a Retribution Paladin. As you guys can see, we have hit rating here, so you want 8% hit rating. So if I go back to my game, and I'm going to go melee here, and as you guys can see, I have 8.11 hit rating. This means that I'm going to basically hit my weapon every single time. The second thing I want is expertise rating. So at the moment I have 3.25% expertise rating. If we go back to the guide, for example, we scroll down, we can see where's the expertise? Yeah, so expertise and hits, very important. 263 hit rating to get the 8%. And the 215 expertise rating to get the 6.5%. So I want to be aiming for 6.5% expertise, which means I've got to get roughly double the amount of expertise. Don't worry too much if you don't have this. It will come as you get better gear. Then we have strength, agility, critical strike rating, attack power, haste rating, and armor penetration. So this is the order that you want to go in. So as soon as you've got 8% hit, then you move on to gathering the expertise, then you can go on to strength. You get the idea. Awesome. Now the other thing you're definitely going to want to do is read all about your rotation. Okay, so next you're going to want to type in Wrath and your class, and yeah, pretty much your rotation. Just type in rotation and you should get something like this. Read this page because it's going to be really useful to you. So first of all, here for example, it explains about the different seals, which seals you should use, and it also explains about the order you should use your ability in. So for a paladin, I have Crusader Strike, Judgment of Wisdom, Divine Storm. You get the idea. This is a single target rotation. And what does rotation mean? It means that you start at the top, you work your way down to the bottom, and you start at the top again. For a paladin, you basically always want to be prioritizing higher items on the stat priority, and this will ensure you do the most damage, which is very nice. Secondly, if you are doing AoE damage, your stat priority your attack priority changes, so you're going to want to keep up your Consecration, your Divine Storm, Judgment of Wisdom to keep your mana up, Holy Wrath, etc. So, okay, you've got your rotations sorted. That's cool. Later in the game, you can obviously, if you want to improve your damage more, you can get Potions of Speed, for example, which will give you 500 haste rating for 15 seconds. This is very important for bosses, if you can afford them, obviously, because it means you're going to attack at a much faster rate and do a lot more damage. And if you are, for example, an unholy DK, for example, these things are absolutely amazing because they proc with everything else, and your gargoyle can also benefit from these things. So yeah, those are very, very cool. Make sure you have the right consumables too. Obviously, if you can afford them, you should be able to, because money isn't too hard to get in this game. So I don't know if it says what the consumables are, but if we go back to the game, for example, the consumables I typically use would be so Dragon Fin Fillet, which gives you 40 strength and 40 stamina. If someone puts the fish down, you may as well just use the fish. But I like to use Dragon Fin Fillet because it gives me a bit of extra strength, and strength's worth a lot more for some classes, for example. And the other thing I like to use would be my Flask of Endless Rage. Gives you 180 attack power for 1 hour, and if you die, you can still use this flask for the full hour. So yeah, very expensive, for about 8 gold each or something at the moment, but it's actually really not that bad, and they're totally worth it just for the extra damage that you guys will do. But I'm sure you know a lot of this already, so let's move on to the macro section. So to get macros up, you're going to press enter to bring up your little text tool here. Type in /macro, enter, and here are all my macros. Most of them are really old and redundant. I usually go for character specific macros, and at the moment I am using 3 specific macros on my character, and they're all very, very similar. Let's have a look at this one, Judgment of Wisdom. Now I'll put this text in the description so you can have a look at it, but let's just go through it very briefly. So at the top you have Show Tooltip, Judgment of Wisdom. This basically means when you mouse over the icon, you get a pop-up at the side. Very nice. Next I've got something which is a bit odd, which basically turns the sound off, the special effects sound. This just kind of means that you don't get, I can't use this item yet, right, which drives you up the wall, so this turns it off. Next I have some use things. Okay, so most people in the game should be engineers unless they have another profession, because engineers have some very, very cool add-ons which significantly increase your damage. So my gloves here, actually every 1 minute gives me 340 haste rating for 12 seconds, and that's really, really good. Highly recommend everybody gets that, if you're an engineer, obviously. And you can activate these by typing in use 10, and now we have use 13 and use 14. What these will do, they will activate your trinkets. Now you don't always want this. Sometimes you might be in PvP, for example, so just bear that in mind, and you might want to control when your trinkets go off. But for PvE, you typically want use 13 and use 14 because this will trigger your trinkets. If your trinkets can't be triggered like mine, they're not easily triggered, then it doesn't really do anything. Next I have Cast Judgment of Wisdom, which is basically what the ability does here. And lastly I have Start Attack. Now I like to put Start Attack on every single macro button that I have, and this basically means if I'm not attacking the enemy, auto-attacking, I will start auto-attacking the enemy. Now this is really important because if you're not auto-attacking the enemy, you're losing out on a load of damage. And this does sometimes happen, especially if you're running around and stuff. So I like to just keep start attack here. If you're already attacking, it doesn't do anything. So next I've got one more line which clears any UI errors. Those are the horrible little red things that pop up on the screen saying you can't use this ability yet. And lastly I have a line of code that turns the special effects sound back on. So all of this is done in a fraction of a second. It doesn't make any real difference to the sound. It just makes the game look a lot nicer and cleaner. Anyway, I'm going to save that and I'm going to drag that down to the bar. Just replace whatever icon you're using at the moment. So for the naming convention, I name everything with one space. Now I could put anything in here, whatever. But one space basically is cool because it doesn't put any text on your UI, keeps it nice and clean, and just choose the appropriate icon. Typically the icons you want will be at the top, and I try to keep abilities consistent with their proper icon, for example, but you can use any icon you want. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to see like a whole screen of rabbits, for example. The last thing I should probably mention is if you have any abilities that you want triggered, for example, here I have this is my Divine Storm, which is one of my abilities that attacks 4 targets. I also have Aura Mastery in here, which is an ability which it isn't actually that great, I don't think, but it increases the effect of your auras by 100% for 6 seconds, and it also does stuff to Consecration, Concentration Aura, which is pretty cool. It kind of gives you like a raid-wide debuff, which kind of protects the raid from being stunned or whatever, so it's quite cool anyway. But yeah, I've got Aura Mastery here in the mix, and it still works. Some abilities you can put in here, like Aura Mastery, if you have any racials, like for example, an Orc has a sort of racial ability which increases their damage, you can put that in here too, and that will automatically trigger. Some things you can't put in here, for example, if I put in here Avenging Wrath, it would just break Divine Storm, so it doesn't work for everything. It works for most sort of passively activated abilities. For example, as you guys can see, I've triggered Aura Mastery and my Divine Storm's been triggered, so yeah, there's probably better uses of Aura Mastery, but I don't care at this point. So yeah, let me just think, are there any other tips that can significantly increase your damage? Well, actually there kind of are. I mean, apart from reading a lot about your class as much as possible, trying to attack the enemy as quickly as possible also really helps. You know, if you get an extra 2 or 3 seconds attacking the enemy, that's going to massively boost up your damage. Making sure you're always in the right stance, you've got the right armor equipped. Gemming your armor. Now, I think you should always gem your armor, and you should probably use, I don't know, medium to expensive gems. You know, as much as you can afford, basically. But even if you are using cheap gems, it's still worth gemming your armor, even if you're using gems that cost like a gold or something. I haven't actually applied it to this character, but there's a lot of armor stuff you can apply, which significantly increases your damage. For example, on my legs, I have a special kind of leg patch, which increases my damage by 75 attack power and gives me 22 crit. You can buy these off the auction house. In fact, should we go do that now and have a little look? Okay, so what I'm going to type is Raf phase 3, which is where we currently are, Bis Ret Pally. This is going to show us our Bis armor for phase 3, which people have kindly worked out. Now, always take these with a little pinch of salt because they may not always be entirely accurate. But as you can see here, guys, you have all of your armor, which is the best you can get in phase 3. It's also got equipment for it's got space for gems and add-ons and stuff, right? So here we have the Arcanum of Torment, okay, which gives you 50 attack power and 20 critical strike rating. This is something which you can basically farm faction rep for, and then once you have sufficient faction rep, you can go buy this. If you don't know how to get it, then you can just Google individual things until you learn. You can also get a shoulder enchant, which is very nice. You've got your cloak enchant, for example. It also tells you the best enchants for you as well as the best gems. So we're looking at 20 strength being the best gems here. Of course, I've already mentioned this, but the hyperspeed accelerators you can put on your gloves are very, very powerful. This is actually what I was talking about, the ice scale leg armor, which gives you 75 attack power and 22 critical strike rating. You can literally buy this straight off the auction house. And yeah, it's got interesting trinkets. So Death's Choice and Dark Moon card Greatness. Now you can actually buy a Dark Moon card Greatness off the auction house for about 6,000 gold. The prices probably vary a lot, but it's typically about 6,000. You might get it for about 4,000 if you know, sort of negotiate a bit, or you sort of look around quite a lot. Pretty expensive, but it gives you 90 strength, which is absolutely massive. Yeah, you can typically work towards getting all this cool stuff anyway. Obviously, you look at your Libram, and this one's very cool actually. So each time your Seal of Vengeance or Seal of Corruption ability deals periodic damage, you have a chance to gain 200 strength for 16 seconds. Proc chance 70% with an 8-second cooldown. That's actually really, really powerful. Probably also quite easy to attain. I might actually go buy that. So yeah, I'm kind of getting information and tips from this. I'll tell you what I'll also do, guys. I'll put the various Google searches which I used in the description as well, just so you can look at all of that and kind of apply it. One thing I haven't mentioned, but make sure you have the correct talents. Now there's typically 4 or 5 talents sets you can choose from, and I would advise you copy these exactly, unless you want to do a bit of variation, because there's a lot of testing that goes into this stuff and people typically know what they're talking about. But again, if you've got a particular use case, then feel free to deviate. So yeah, this is for Paladin. So we're going down to Aura Mastery here. In Holy Protection, we're just grabbing the 15% strength boost. And bear in mind, this is why strength is so much more powerful than attack power, because strength will typically give you 2 attack power, and if you're getting a 15% boost on your strength, it kind of means, yeah, you're getting a lot more attack power than if you just got straight attack power. Also going down the Ret tree to get Divine Storm, which is very nice. Some people have said that this Swift Retribution is actually optional, and you can put 3 talents into something else, because Boomkins give this aura as well. But personally, I would just recommend you just follow this as it is. Apply the talents pretty much exactly how they are, and you'll be pretty much good to go. It also gives you advice on glyphs. So we've got Glyphs of Reckoning. Okay. Interesting. Glyph of Reckoning. Glyph of Judgment, 10% more damage. Glyph of Exorcism. Increases damage done by exorcism by 20%. I actually have different glyphs, so maybe I need to update my glyphs. Here we go. So Glyph of Sense Undead gives you 1% bonus damage against undead, for example. I hardly ever have this active, so it's probably something I should do, actually. Because 1% is quite significant. It is annoying because it kind of means I need to switch between the two. But yeah, I suppose Sense Undead is fine. Anyway, guys, I hope that gives you some good idea about improving the damage of your paladin. And I guess we're into bonus time. So let's look at dungeons and raids. Now, probably 80% or 90% of people have switched off a video by now. So if you are still with us, thank you very much. I would recommend you do the daily HC every day. It'll give you 5 of the most relevant tokens. At the moment, I think they're Emblems of Valor, which is very nice. And you can also do a lot of other dungeons as well. Most people are playing HC++ dungeons at the moment, which are a little bit hard, so you may have to level up your character in other ways. So what I would actually recommend you guys do is do PvP until you are eye level 4000, or around about 4000. This you'll mostly have level 200 items, but yeah, just get a load of PvP items basically. You can do Winter Grasp or whatever you want to do, and it doesn't actually take that long, and you can deck out your character with some pretty cool items. And again, when you're at 4000, I would say you can start doing the HC++ if people will have you, and then you just basically improve your armor and improve your eye level, getting better and better stuff and becoming more powerful, learning how to play your class better. Anyway, guys, I will kind of leave it there. I've actually mentioned stuff like this in other videos, for example. So here are the raids that you can do. I'll just explain about the raid finder because you may not know. So if you click on the little eyeball down here, the group finder, you have the option of finding dungeons or raids. If you click on dungeons, for example, I've got some text here. Don't know why I've got text. I haven't even activated my thing. You can basically see, so today I've done Gundrak and I've done Carling of Stratholme. I've done nothing else here, so I can basically look at all the different raids which are going on, join them potentially. Sorry, these are dungeons. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. I can go delist and back, and then I can go into raids, for example. So I've done Vault of Archivon here. I've done Onyxia's Lair and VOA in 25 man as well. So I can still list myself, and I can join Trial of the Crusader. Now, people have said they typically want you to be about 4,400 to get into VOA. I don't know, someone said that. Probably want to avoid the GDKPs unless you've got a bunch of money. And if you are a lower level character, look for a normal run like this one. It's pretty good. So they want people who are 4,300 plus. Actually, let's see if we can join this one. Let's say I am a... Just request to join 4300 Ret. So that's my gear score. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. Now to get this up. I've clicked request to join. Oh, they need caster DPS. So I guess it was a bit slow on this one. So, yeah, that would have been quite good if I'd have joined earlier. There's 10-man versions of the raid here. Obviously, there's a lot of raids on my server. It is the weekend, for example, so I guess a lot of people are playing. Looking for member. It's a GDKP. Don't really like GDKP because I don't actually have that much money. I could have it if I wanted, but I just can't be bothered. Here we have see, people are whispering me, but again, that's an 80-20 GDKP. So that means that 4 of the 5 bosses will be done in hard mode, and the final boss will be done in easier mode. We can go do Onyxia. So again, I've copied my 4300 rep pally thing, which I can just pop in the chat bar. If they want me, I can just join. Onyxia is quite good. There's some nice items on there. Although you get about 3 or 4 items dropping, and don't always think it's that great. Here's another guy. I'll probably get into this group if I wanted. He says full normal, no reserve, quick emblem farm, and he is doing Trial of the Crusader 10-man. So I might go see if we can get into this one. He's only got 2 people in there for a moment. And again, there are 2 different types of mode here. There's hard mode and then there's normal mode. Normal mode isn't a cakewalk, but the hard mode version is quite a bit more difficult. But yeah, the normal one, the only tactic you really need to know is on the 3rd boss, which are the poison worms. If you get infected with the poison, you need to run to a guy who has fire on them, basically a fire buff, which will destroy your poison buff, and that's pretty much the only tactic that you need to know. So now in this group, we'll see if it can go anywhere. Hopefully it can. I will leave the video there, guys. The jump up in gear in, you know, the latest raid will be massive for me, so if I get even 1 or 2 pieces, it'll make a huge difference to me. And remember that Warcraft is an iterative game, so the more you play it, the more powerful you'll become. But of course the challenge is when you get very, very powerful, it becomes infinitely more difficult to become more powerful, up until the point that it's impossible when you're in full base. But yeah, when you are a lower level or eye level player, the good thing is it is actually easier to level up than if you're a higher level player, because there's going to be more drops and opportunities to get better stuff. So you're actually lucky if you've got a, you know, less powerful character. It's kind of a good thing because you'll kind of get more gear more quickly. Anyway, guys, yeah, hope you found that useful, and I will speak to you soon.